Always great catching up with my next guest, Adrian Yanez. He's back in action. This is another banger here. He's taking on Jonathan Martinez, UFC Fight Night, October 14th. We're about a month away. Adrian, how are you, man?
Man, I'm doing great, man. Living life, man. Yeah, man. I'm excited to get back in there. Really
Yeah.
excited.
And I got to mention, it was cool to see you very briefly at International Fight Week. I know we didn't get to do an interview, but at least you know I'm a real person and not an AI-generated video thing here, right?
Oh yeah, guys. Everybody, he's taller than what he looks like on here.
That too. Yeah, I know. Apparently I'm a midget off camera, or like, I look like I'm a midget on here, but that's not the case, man. Yeah, really, really awesome fight. Like I mentioned, how excited were you to get Jonathan as an opponent? Because you know this is going to be a fight of the night.
Oh yeah. Honestly, if I'm being 100% honest, it wasn't exciting, if that makes sense, because I met him
Okay.
at International Fight Week,
Okay.
and we ended up like being really cool at International Fight Week. You know, just like it was just kind of like one of those like, man, like once we came back, I had actually heard from his coach, because his coach came down to Houston and cornered one of the fighters, one of their fighters, and was like, you know what, man, I was talking to Jonathan, and we're both. He tells me, he's like, man, I'll fight anybody, but like I don't want to fight anybody but Yanez. He's a cool guy. I met him, talked to him, and all that stuff. I had the same sentiment, man, because I like Jonathan. Like after that time in International Fight, we got real cool, and actually, it just happens to be like, hey, you, Jonathan Martinez. You're like, well, fuck.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's cool. Like, if we're looking at style wise and everything, yeah, fight of the night for 100% sure. Like that's just, it's an absolute banger if I'm just taking all the emotions out of it. But like, nah, we got cool, man. It just sucks.
I get it. No,
sucks
I
'cause
get it.
kinda
I know
became a
both of
friend.
you. I was gonna say, yeah, like from that. Well, and you guys have the same management as well, so I'm sure like even putting this fight together wasn't too difficult. I wouldn't think.
Yeah, no, it wasn't difficult at all. I know I was really trying to fight before October. I was actually trying to fight September 16th or before, just because I had prior engagements beforehand, but
Mhm.
I had to move a lot of stuff off to the side. But yeah, that for me, I was like, yeah, no, I wanted it beforehand, but it couldn't be done. And so pretty much Jonathan Martinez, October 14th, so we settled on that. And I was like, yeah, all right, cool. Got to fight. Excited. Sucks it's against a guy I like, but at the same time, it's all fun.
Yeah, it's all business at the end of the day. It's never fun to talk about a loss. I don't think we've been on here talking about a loss actually. What did you take away the most from that fight with Rob Font?
So I was able to get away with a lot of stuff before. I was able to get away with being sloppy and kind of like being too reliant on my power. Because if you go back and watch a lot of my fights, like if actually a really good one is I stayed composed and stayed technical the whole entire time, even after I dropped him. Was Gustavo Lopez. I stayed within my game plan. I was like, oh, I had like because I respected who he was and I respected the fire he was at that, especially at that time, like walking into the cage. It's like, no, I had to be on my P's and Q's because if not, lights out or he's taking my neck home, so I had to make sure everything was dialed in. And somewhere along the lines, I got way too reliant on my power, just kind of going back to the Tony Kelly fight, man. I heard him. And then after that, threw everything out the window. I was like, no, I'm just going to land hard shot after hard shot after hard shot. And as you can tell, I got sloppy. It looked like a street fight whenever I was finishing that fight. And then kind of led into my fight with Rob whenever I went in there. I stayed technical for the first minute. And I heard him and I immediately went into meathead mode. And I was like, all right. I started trying to swing, try to get him out of there. And then by the time he had recovered from me hurting him, he started building momentum, and I stayed in the same mindset of like meathead mode. I'm gonna try to put him out, and by the time he started getting his started changing the tide, I noticed way too late, and he started building up, and by the time like the finish was about to come, I was like, oh shit! I realized like pretty much like moments beforehand, I realized like, oh shit, I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
Because in that moment, I didn't like I didn't feel like had to go back and watch the fight, but in that moment, I didn't feel like the knee hurt at all. I didn't feel like the jab hurt at all. It was weird because like in that moment, I was like, oh, my feet I had a little trip. I felt at that time it looked like a little stumble, but looking back at the fight, I was like, oh, okay. Like I have to realize at certain moments, like, oh, stop,
Yeah.
reset yourself and move. But I realized way too late that I was in trouble, and I was like, oh shit, okay, so yeah. I got way too complacent in being a meathead, and usually that would work out for me. But against these high level guys who can fight their way back into a fight, I can't get away with that. So I had to tighten up, had to make sure I stayed on my game plan, stay on my game plan because Yeah, that was not my game plan at all. The first minute of that fight was my game plan. Moving around, don't stay flat, and kind of keep the distance. But that again kind of goes back to me being a meathead. I threw one shot, hurt him, and I was like, I'm going for the finish. But I forgot who I had in front of me, so I had to tighten up.
Uh, let's look ahead to Martinez, like we mentioned there. Style wise, obviously both of you guys are strikers. What about camp? Anything different for this camp, or was it just business as usual? Who did you get to work with?
Yeah, almost business as usual. Everybody's in fight camps right now. So most of our up and coming guys who are fighting on Fury, I've been able to have a lot of guys come in, a lot of southpaws. My training partner Rob Font Fatherhood, been able to throw kicks and also at the same time he shoot it on me. So I'm able to work on my wrestling and work on my jiu-jitsu and all that stuff. And it's been phenomenal. I got Eve Edwards, my head coach, and then my striking coach, Michael Chase Corley, and my strength coach, Coach Phil. So yeah, like everything's kind of like business as usual because I never really even stopped training. Like I just stopped sparring for about a couple months and pretty much just started getting myself into like, oh yeah, I want to fight soon. So started, moving in once I got everything cleared by the doctor, started moving around with the guys and all that stuff, helping them get ready for their fight. So it's like once I got into camp, it was just more like, oh, I'm already doing it. So just had to work on specifics because I was already in shape.
Weight cut, I'm sure is going well. I mean, you're never a guy that misses or anything, but it has been a little bit since the last fight, right? So
Yeah, it's been a little bit. Honestly, like the fact that like it's a closer fight than what it
oh,
was
the fight
before.
before, yeah,
Yeah, than
exactly.
the
That
fight
was a pretty
before.
long one.
Yeah, that one was a longer layoff, and that one was the cut. As much for as big as it was, it went smoothly. This time around, again, it's like I've been more active. Been trying to look for a fight, already trying to keep my weight down just in case opportunities that came up. I was like, you know what, I'll make 35. I can make 35 in 2 weeks notice and 3 weeks notice. I'd be able to make it. So I was like, yeah, I've got to make sure I got to keep my weight down. So, for me, yeah, it's all good.
Your corner, who will be in the cage with you?
So I'm gonna have my MMA coach Eve Edwards, my striking coach Michael Chase Corley, and then probably have one of my training partners there with me.
Okay, cool. That sounds awesome. And how's this one playing out? How do you see it going down? I don't know if this will hit the scorecards, man. It's the way you two guys throw leather. It's pretty devastating.
Yeah, we're trying to go out there and finish. So I am cool with the 3-round decision, but if the finish comes, it comes. I'm not gonna try to be like, I'm gonna finish them in the first round, second round. No, if the finish comes, it comes. But if not, man, I'm cool with the 3-round decision. My hand raised 100%.
Not your division, but huge fight last weekend. Sean Strickland is the new UFC middleweight champion. Even me saying that is still kind of weird.
Yeah,
What was your reaction to that fight? What did you think?
man, I was pretty baffled. If I'm being honest with you, I was like, I it was weird watching that fight in a sense because like I'm really high on Israel Adesanya. I'm pretty sure everybody else in the world is as well too. So like I love his striking. I love how he sets stuff up. And it was just weird seeing, Sean just being able to walk him down and just man, defensively, man. He was some of the stuff that he was doing from a technical standpoint looked off, but it was also kind of was going back into like using his Philly shell, but also using like with his arms extended in certain positions, looking like he was framing. So it was like kind of hard to get the strikes around. I know he was really using that every time Izzy was trying to throw the right hand over top. He was using his arm as a post, like kind of using the Philly shell, and then he'd bring his elbow up, do all this other stuff to kind of create frames, kind of create obstacles for the right hand not to be able to land. So he was doing a really great job of that. I just didn't expect everything else. Like I thought Izzy would eat up his kicks. I thought Izzy was going to be the one that was going to be out kicking him. I even felt like because again, I just kind of felt like Sean was at times, whenever he goes back into a little modified Philly, his right hand would always kind of start moving forward, and to me it looked like there's openings there, but in that fight I don't know what was going on, if that opening just wasn't there. I had to rewatch the fight, but there's a lot of things I saw. I was like, man, Izzy can get to him, but Sean was doing everything like fantastically defensively correct, and also at the same time it was like kind of like when you get a super technical guy going against a guy who is like who knows some stuff, but it's also like the way I explained it to my teammates, what it looked like was a guy who's really good going against the guy who's spazzy, but knows how to throw punches. And it was like, it was weird. It was weird. But if you look at the actual fight, like Sean Strickland is by no means a spaz. He was doing all the right things, but that was my interpretation of the fight. And it was like, it was just like the guy was just gritty going in. But yeah, no, that's again, that's weird. I'm still baffled by it. Like I was expecting Izzy to walk right over Strickland, and that was not the case by any means.
Okay, a couple rapid fire questions. Whatever comes to mind, just say it first. There's no wrong answers here, and you can't say yourself. So we'll go through these here real quick. Who's the best striker in the UFC?
Whoo! Oh, that's a good one. I still think it's Izzy. Izzy.
Best grappler.
Does it count if Damian Maia is
has to be in the UFC? Yeah, he is retired.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay. Damn, that's a good one. Damn, that's a really good one. Let me go with. Ooh, that's a phenomenal one. I'll just go Islam. I'll go Islam.
Okay. Funniest fighter.
Funniest fighter. That's a good one. There's a lot of funny guys out there. Damn, man, that's a good one. I
mean, you said Costa earlier. There's also Kevin Holland, who's a Texas guy.
Kevin Holland. Yeah, Kevin Holland's pretty hilarious. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna go Kevin.
Okay. Who would you want to have dinner with out of any fighter?
Who would I want to have dinner with out of any fighters? You know what? I would probably have to go to dinner with Brandon Moreno. Take my mom with me.
There you go. Who would you want by your side in a street fight?
By my side in a street fight, I would go John Jones 100%. If it has to be a UFC fighter, John Jones. If not, I'm taking Francis all day, every day.
Who is the highest fight IQ?
Highest fight IQ. Ooh, that is a good one. You know what? I'm gonna go Volkanovski.
Okay, and last one. What's a dream fight you want to see?
Dream fight I want to see. Is that like just compared to UFC?
We'll just keep the UFC. Yeah, we'll just keep UFC. Yeah.
Okay. Dream fight. Damn, that is a really hard one because my go-to one was gonna be Francis Ngannou and John Jones, but that's not.
We'll accept that one. That's fine.
We'll accept that. Okay, yeah. That's the fight I would. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Obviously, big fight here. How many fights do you have left on your contract? I was trying to remember that.
So I have 3 left. 3 left on my.
Oh, okay. So last fight was the part of a new one then, I guess, because you usually do 4 for a contract,
yes, sir. Right? Yeah, I've been doing 4. I know some guys do 6 and 8, but trying to keep it at 4.
Yeah, no, that's smart. How's fatherhood going these days?
Man, fatherhood is amazing, man. He literally just woke up from a nap. I don't know if the audio was able to pick him up.
Oh, I haven't heard anything. He's a lot better than my younger one. So yeah.
Yeah, he was yelling, and I was like, oh wait, can you hear it? But yeah, no, it's been going great, man. I've been loving it. It's cool because he's developing his personality right now, and it's just so cool, man. I don't know, he hates it whenever I had to go leave for training now, and he'd be waiting at the screen door, just like with his hand on the window, just like all sad. And I was like, damn, I won't be back until you're asleep. So damn, man, I don't know. I love it, but also it is what it is.
There's a hard part to it. No, for sure. When you're not around, or you have things to do. Correct me if I'm wrong. Are you less active on Twitter these days? I feel like you are, just a slight bit.
Yeah, I have been a lot less active on everything in general. Like I kind of.
Well, I'm sure because you're a dad too. I mean, there's so much you got going on, right?
Yeah, so much going on. And also too, I just been like, kind of just like focusing. If that, like, I like a lot. I was distracted a lot for these past couple of years, and now that I'm a dad, and then also like kind of correlating my time a lot more into like being more at the family, more training, be more in tune. Because like, man, like. Again, I want to get back to my streaming. I want to kind of get back on, I check in every once in a while on Twitter, but at the same time, just wanted to make sure I kind of like got everything in order before I start like getting back out there. Also, too, like I'm really zoned in, dialed in for this fight, and I just wanted to make sure all distractions are out. So yeah, I even hired a media guy to do all my Instagram stuff and my YouTube.
Oh,
stuff,
cool!
So,
good for you. Look at you, man.
Yeah. So like I'm making sure that I'm like like social media stuff is getting covered by somebody else. So I'm just like, you know what, guy, like I'll let you handle all that. I just want to focus on being a fighter and a father. Everything else will come afterwards, but I want to make sure that I have all my focus is on this, because this is a really big fight to me. So I want to make sure that everything is running smoothly.
And making time for interviews as you always do, Adrian. Appreciate it, man. It's UFC Fight Night, October 14th. If there's anyone you want to thank before we get out of here, any sponsors, any social media you want to mention, I'll give you the last word.
Yeah, all my sponsors, Drink HRW, Compex, and then Got Techniques, and also my lawyer, Kristen Denuna. Yeah, and also, yeah, man, a big shout out to you. A big shout out to you. Thank you for the platform. Like, you've been interviewing me since my legacy days, way back in the day before anybody knew who I was. Like, I am very appreciative of that. Like, appreciative of that, because, man, again, like, everybody always looks to aim for the big guys, you know, and you remember me as a small fish and all that stuff. So, hey, thank you so much, man. Thank you.